Alright, gang. So it's my strong opinion that every single episode of the original 2 seasons of Scooby-Doo Where Are You has a secret story hidden within it, and every clue found in the children's cartoon can be used to solve the real-life mysteries. In this video, we'll be decoding Scooby-Doo and the Backstage Rage. This episode starts with Scooby and Shaggy finding a violin case full of money. The money is then stolen back from the gang using this lifelike puppet dog. A puppet wand is then found at the scene with the name Pietro written on it. This leads the gang to Pietro's puppet theater to look for answers, and this is where it gets crazy. So it's my strong opinion that this man Pietro is supposed to represent the real-life Captain William Morgan. Captain William Morgan was a man from New York who disappeared under extremely mysterious circumstances after printing a book exposing the secrets of Freemasonry in 1826.
You know my secret!
We have a lot of evidence to support this theory. Firstly, the character seems to resemble 2 of the 3 known pictures of Morgan. Here, we have Shaggy dressing in the uniform Captain William Morgan wore in the Battle of New Orleans, shown on the right.
Pretty heroic, huh?
And he's making the same hand gesture that William Morgan is making on the top of his memorial monument located in Batavia, New York. Next, we have the printing press as the biggest clue found in the children's cartoon, and in my opinion, this is supposed to represent the printing press used by William Morgan to print his book that exposed the secrets of Freemasonry.
Look at that printing press!
Okay, so here's where things get a bit more speculative and a lot more terrifying. When Scooby and Shaggy go looking for clues, they find the costume room with a big "Keep Out" sign on the door, for very good reason. I believe each costume shown on the clothing rack is supposed to represent a real-life celebrity, and it seems that all of these real-life celebrities met with an untimely end. First, we have Marilyn Monroe in the sweater that she wore in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. Here we have John Lennon's army jacket from his interview on the Dick Cavett Show. Next, we have Hank Williams' suit displayed in the Country Music Hall of Fame. Here we possibly have the velvet purple suit worn by Jimi Hendrix. And lastly, what appears to be an Elvis jumpsuit. The biggest problem with this theory, obviously, is that the children's cartoon came out in 1969, Elvis didn't die until 1976, and Lennon wasn't assassinated until 1980. So how could these mysterious deaths have been predicted in this cartoon over a decade before they happen in some cases? Well, this leads me to one of the most horrifying things I've ever found in Scooby-Doo, and that is, when the gang first goes to the puppet theater, they tell Pietro that Scooby is a trained dog and ask if they can perform his trained dog act on his stage. Pietro, using the puppet, then states,
"Sorry, chum, but you can't work this show unless you're a puppet."
"Sorry, chum, you can't work this stage unless you're a puppet," meaning that all these celebrities referred to by their clothing are nothing more than puppets to be used on stage by their puppet masters. So let's go back to Captain William Morgan for a second. It's important to understand the time he was living in as well as the major impact his mysterious disappearance had on American politics. The presidential elections of the 1820s was the first time in American history where both the Democrat and Republican candidates were Freemasons. William Morgan, in an attempt to expose this fraud, printed his book titled The Secrets of Freemasonry. After refusing to stop printing this book, he was imprisoned on September 11, 1826. When the jailer was away, a group of 4 men violently grabbed Morgan, claiming to be police officers. They handcuffed him and threw him in the back of a carriage. He was last seen being driven out of town in the carriage yelling "murder." This is very similar to what happens to Pietro at the end of the episode. The disappearance of William Morgan was a watershed moment in American politics. It caused many members of Freemasonry to leave the craft, and it caused a third party of American politics to be formed, which was known in those days as the Anti-Masonic Party. This political movement was the fastest growing constituency of its day, and is the reason why Morgan is referred to as the nightmare of Freemasonry. In this children's cartoon, Pietro is accused by the gang of being a counterfeiter. using his printing press to create brand new $20 bills.
All those new $20 bills on the table.
This is very interesting because the president who was on the $20 bill is Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was a very well-known and prominent Freemason who was fighting for control of the country at the time of Morgan's disappearance. Ultimately, he became president in 1828. He is the man who ultimately defeated the anti-Masonic party that was started in the wake of the disappearance of Captain William Morgan. And it would seem that by referring to him as counterfeit, this children's cartoon is saying that the entire socioeconomic and political system of America is fake and run by puppet masters.
You have learned my secret. Now you can never go.
So in addition to connections to real-life people, places, and events, every episode of Scooby-Doo is also inspired by older films, and in this case, one of the movies that connects to it is The Phantom of 42nd Street, made in 1945. This film is about a mysterious killer who terrorizes a theater, and immediately it should become clear that the cloaked puppet master from Scooby-Doo resembles the cloaked man from the posters of the older film. In the older film, the killer runs around the theater dressed as the pirate from the stage play Captain Kidd. This is interesting because in the Scooby-Doo cartoon, we have this life-size pirate puppet that drops by to scare the gang.
Are you all right? Yes, I'm all right. Stay here.
Well, what do you know, a pirate's outfit? Yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum.
Next, we have the cut sandbag connection.
If we stick around here, we're bound to find something. Wow! We almost got hit by that sandbag!
We then have scenes in both films where the set falls and almost kills somebody.
Bark 3 times. Huh? Hey, Scoob, watch what you're bumping.
In The Phantom of 42nd Street, the play that's being rehearsed is Julius Caesar, and if we look at the stage in the Scooby-Doo episode, it definitely looks like the stage is set for a Julius Caesar play. Lastly is the chase scenes, both being very similar as well as the endings.
How do you like that? Old Scooby-Doo's got him on the run. Good work, Scooby. I'll give you a hand.
Another old movie that seems to connect with this episode of Scooby-Doo is the 1932 film Union Depot. Basically, it's about a poor man who discovers a violin case full of counterfeit money.